Be great. Excellent. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the live online launch of Listen, our anthology of art and writing that celebrates Hull Samaritans' 60th anniversary and helps us raise money for the branch. My name is Duncan, and I'll be your host tonight, and we'll try to keep some order during the evening. I'm a listener at the Hull branch, and I look after fundraising as well. But please bear in mind with us, as with so many things in this project, running a webinar is new to us, and we'll be making it up as we go along. We've got a packed agenda this evening, including performances from 5 of our wonderful contributors, some of whom you can see around me now. We're going to tell you about how Listen started and was developed, and you can meet our director, Rob, who's in the bottom right of my screen, who will be talking to you about Samaritans, the work we do, how important listening is today, and a bit about Samaritans history. But what is most important is that you enjoy the evening, as this event should be a celebration. A thank you to everyone who's helped us. So we would encourage you to ask us questions, comment on the chat, you can work it out, and just show us you're still there. And then we will answer some of your questions during the evening. Also, it might be a good time to get ready. Do you want to say anything?
Yes, just if you want to get a drink ready for later on, because we're going to have a toast towards the end. And so you've got half an hour or so to get a cup of tea or a drink of wine.
Get it over. Okay, excellent. So we'll have a few surprises for you during the night, and you'll have a chance to win 1 or 2 free copies of Listen. So more about that later. So to begin with, let's introduce you to the team. Isabel, Connie, and Ellie. Guys, I wonder if you could introduce yourselves to everyone tonight. Isabel?
Hi, everyone. I'm Isabel. I've been a Samaritan now for 6 or 7 years, and I'm also involved in various kind of creative groups and projects in Hull. So that's me.
Thank you, Isabel. Connie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Connie, and I've been a Samaritan for about 3 years. My background is in publishing in general, particularly editorial. So working on Listen has been great fun for me. And it's great you're all here tonight, because what it means, I hope, is that you like the book very much.
Great, thanks, Connie. And Ellie?
Oh, yes, my name says Grace, that's my Samaritan's name, but my real name is Ellie. I've been at Samaritans for 2 years, just over 2 years now, and I don't really have a background in anything, but I did just finish this weekend my master's in psychology, so that's a small fact. So yeah, nice to be here and nice to see you all.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Grace. So we all decided we're going to use our Samaritans' names tonight, just to confuse everybody, in case you thought we'd all change identity. And then I'm going to say Ellie. So we haven't had name changes. Now, I'd also like to introduce you to another very special person. That's Rob Carlisle, our director for the Hull branch. Rob has been director for over 2 years. It probably feels like 20 for him, I'm guessing, and now has had the unenviable task of steering our branch through the pandemic, keeping morale up and somehow managing to keep shifts open when we have had many Samaritans self-isolating in a way during a crisis. So I'm going to hand over to Rob now to tell you a little bit about Samaritans, what we do, and maybe sprinkle this with a little bit of history, Rob. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Duncan, and thank you to everybody who's been involved in this wonderful project that has produced this amazing book of such a high standard. I remember a couple of years ago, just before I became director, and I was very conscious of the fact that this year we celebrate 60 years of having a Samaritan presence in Hull. And I sent out an email to everybody, and I sent out lots of emails, very few get answered. But this one, I had some, Duncan came back to me and he said, "Would you mind if myself and Isabel produced a book?" And I thought, well, yeah, why not? And then, of course, they've got the ideal backgrounds. And you know, Duncan's background's in marketing and Isabel's background is in the arts all over the place. And then I said, we might want to have a quick chat with Connie because her background is in book editing. So if you think about it, you've got the perfect combination for a book like this. And it turns out that we've turned out a perfect book. So 60 years of Samaritans, I'm not sure it's something that we should be celebrating, really. It's the fact we are here. Can you see that? Right. We're here, and we've been here 60 years, and it's whether we celebrate it, it's a tricky one. But from my point of view, I really want to celebrate the fact that we've had 60 years of people who wanted to volunteer with our organisation, people who everyone cares about other people. And then we have a lot of people who may have had their own issues, people who may have family members who've needed to use the Samaritans, volunteers who may have used the Samaritans in the past, and some who still do. But they're all people who want to make a difference. And sometimes that difference may only last the duration of a phone call. And we're all ordinary people doing an extraordinary thing, to quote Chad. So how do we ordinary people get started in this thing? Well, you probably know that the Reverend Chad Varra started the organisation in 1953 when he was a minister at St Stephen Walbrook in the City of London, after he attended a funeral of a 14-year-old girl. After that, there was no further branches took place until 1959 was the second branch occurred. That was in Edinburgh, and then our branch, the Hull branch, was the 14th branch to come into existence, and that happened in November 1961 when the Reverends Sydenham and various other well-meaning guys got together in the Central Hall in King Edward Street in Hull, had a meeting and decided that they would like to form a pilot service of the Samaritans. And my experience of pilot services, they tend to become reality after a very short period of time. And thankfully, we've stayed, and we're continuing to do good things. We're in the we moved to our branch in Springbank in the mid-70s, so we've been there since then. Now, what we do as Samaritans hasn't basically changed much over the years, but as you can imagine, there have been one or two technical changes. Back in the day, without mentioning it too much, that it was very much a local service for local people. People rang the local number, which was Hull 23456. And I remember speaking to Dorothy, who is our oldest Samaritan. In fact, amazingly, her and her husband Ken, who's our patron, they celebrate 60 years of marriage this year, which is a remarkable coincidence. But when I was a new Samaritan back in the day, I used to do the same listening shift as Dorothy, and I learned a huge amount from her. At the time, I used to talk to her about how it used to be. And in those days, back in the 60s and 70s, she would say on an overnight shift, people would come into the branch, listeners, and sleep on a camp bed, and they'd wake up every now and again when the phone rang. There were so few calls. I remember I think in 1965, it says we had 400 calls in a year. Well, now the Samaritans as a national organization gets a phone call once every 7 seconds, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And in the Hull branch, we had over 13,000 calls last year ourselves. So as you can appreciate, we don't have long to wait for calls. The way it works is basically people who need our services ring the national helpline, which is a free phone number. And if you're interested, it doesn't show up any bills at all. And that number is 116123. Callers ring that number, then the call is diverted throughout the 201 branches that we have throughout the UK and the Republic of Ireland. and the next available Samaritan listener will pick up the phone. And so you could be speaking to somebody from all over the UK and Ireland. So it's an interesting times. You get people with very broad Glaswegian accents and very strong Ulster accents. So it makes for some interesting conversations. But I think we do a decent job. But what we do, other than the technical side of things, what we do hasn't changed a great deal. We're still there to listen to people, and it's a very powerful thing, listening. There are so many people out there who have no one to listen to them. And I know the image that, you know, suicide dominates what we're about. And yes, sure, our mission statement is that we'd prefer fewer people to die from suicide, but a lot of our calls, an awful lot, from very lonely people who've got no one to talk to. And in the middle of the night, we get calls from everybody, but you get some very powerful calls from people who've got nobody and just want to be heard. And they speak to us and we listen. We don't advise people. How can we advise somebody? We know nothing about the caller when they ring us. We don't have any case notes, nothing like that. We're not counsellors, although we do employ very similar skills to counsellors. But what we do, we provide that safe place for people to talk and for people to be listened to. And it's a strange thing. It's this void of anonymity where, because no one knows anything about each other, it works. It works. People will start talking, and we get all sorts of calls from all sorts of people at all stages of the day. I remember the other day, I had a call from this lady, and I think she talked for the best part of 30 minutes, and I don't think I said one word. And at the end of the call, she thanked me so much for everything I'd done for her. And I just said, "You're very welcome." And it is how it works. It's a strange thing that we do. And we have and you can imagine it's a very difficult thing to actually train to become a Samaritan, because we can talk about the theory until the cows come home. And we have this gentle mentoring period, which comes to an end when the new Samaritan has to take their first call. And I well remember this Samaritan who was unfortunately she's just left us yesterday, sent me a very nice email. But I remember when I was her mentor, when she took her first call from somebody, and she was very nervous, obviously, and sat down waiting. I said, "You're okay?" She said, "I sure, you'll be fine, she'll be fine." And she got this call that came through, and we normally wouldn't tell you anything about the calls, but I will on this occasion. This lady rang up and said, "Is that the Samaritans?" "Yes." I said, "I've got a washing machine that I'd like to sell and give the money to Samaritans. What shall I do with it?" And she looked around and said, "What do I do?" So I said, quickly scribble some down. I said, "Well, we're probably not the right people for her at this moment in time. Maybe she tries somebody else." And then she said this to the lady, and the lady was quite happy. So it broke the ice for this new Samaritan that she'd talked to somebody, we'd helped somebody, and it was someone that we can all look back on with some fond memories, as we do throughout we have some quite harrowing calls, but we have some very warm calls as well. And if anybody's interested in becoming a Samaritan, all you have to do, I thought I'd get this in, is if you Google volunteer Samaritans, it'll very handily take you to a very quick link, and you can have a look and see if it's for you. And I hope it is, but it has been for me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rob, for that very heartfelt introduction. Lovely to sort of set the scene for the evening. That's terrific. So now during our evening tonight, a few of our contributors have offered to give short performances of their work. Our first contributor is Grace Andrews, who's going to read her poem Lunch. Grace is an actor and teaching artist living and working in London. So over to you, Grace.
Hello. Yes, I wrote this poem. I was thinking about listening and what it meant, and it made me think about friendship and moments of connection. So here we go. Yesterday, I heard her for the first time. The years between seemed full of noise, where words would land somewhere other than us, and space and time belonged to something else. Then, over lunch, we met, where thoughts lay finally side by side, and silence, as much as voice, grew up and out and in, to be found and freed and heard. And there she was, clear as a light beam after the storm.
Thank you very much, Grace. Perfect reading of a lovely poem. Great start of the night. You can find Grace's poem in the book on page 23. Now, one thing that is difficult in a webinar is to see reaction and hear from the audience, as you just heard, all that clapping that everybody's doing to their own home. So I hope there is someone out there tonight. I think there is, according to the our information here. So please send in your comments and questions as we move along. And it'd be great if you could take part in our next activity, which Ellie or even Grace is going to introduce. So over to you, Grace.
Well, thank you. And yeah, thanks, Grace, for the poem. That was stunning. That was really, I could have listened to that on repeat for 5 or 6 times. That was really, really gorgeous. So yes, my little bit, so we're just going to do, we thought it would be nice to have an activity. So bear with me 1 second whilst I just get the correct screen. Okay, you should be able to see this. So we would like you guys, if you'd like to take a picture of where you would put your copy of the Listen book. It could be a bookshelf, it could be like in my picture, it's like a makeshift bookshelf, which is just on my desk leaning. But any pictures of where you would like to put your copy of Listen, you can email your pictures into us. I'll pop the email address into the chat box so you can copy and paste it after. You can put it on Twitter, on Instagram, or you can find us on Facebook. But we'd really love to see all of your different nooks and crannies and bookshelves and tabletops and coffee tables where you might put a copy of Listen. And the team will take a look at the submissions. It sounds more formal than it will be, and the kind of place that we like the look of most will receive a free copy of the book, and we'll announce that over our social media channels. Don't worry if you don't have social media, because I'm sure we can find a way of emailing you as well, so don't panic if you think, oh, I'm not a tweeter. So yeah, take a picture, send it in. I'll pop the email address, like I say, in the chat box, so you can just copy it. Yeah, and we really look forward to seeing where you'd like to put your copy. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Grace. Excellent. Yeah, we look forward to seeing your pictures coming through. So one thing that is clear when you read Listen is that the breadth of contributors is very, very wide, and that's what makes a book so interesting. Nature and listening are never far apart, and so it gives me great pleasure to introduce our second performance for tonight, Annalisa Emmons-Dean. She's a poet and performer from York who will perform the 2 book poems of hers that feature in our anthology.
Good evening, everybody. Greetings from here in York. So my 2 contributions to this beautiful anthology are poems about birdsong. And a lot of people during the pandemic became more attuned to the birdsong around them. They started to listen to the birdsong around them, live music for free. So the first of my 2 poems is about the wren. And the wren is a tiny little bird. It's one of our 3 tiniest birds, yet it's got a beautiful, very powerful, beautiful, strong song. And you don't have to take my word for it, because I have a little bit of it here for you to listen to. So here we go. Here is the wren, tiny little bird, powerful song. When the wren sings, sings long, sings loud. When the wren sings, sings strong, sings proud. When the wren sings, sings sweet, sings true. When the wren sings, my heart sings too. So I would say listen out for the wren, but it's a bit late in the season to do that because like most songbirds, the wren generally sings in the spring and the early summer. However, the second of my poems is about a bird that doesn't just sing in the spring and the early summer. It's about the robin, which is a very special songbird because it sings all through the year. So it might be Christmas Day and you could hear the robin singing in your garden, in the park. So this poem that I'm about to perform for you is about that, and you can understand it either literally and or metaphorically. So before I start it, let me tee things up because I'd like you to listen to the robin at the end of this, but I'll get it ready first. So hang on, hold, don't go anywhere, everybody. Whee. There we are, okie doke. So this is about the robin. For I will sing your summers into the bare winter trees, sprinkle their boughs with my melodies, accompany you through the ice-laden days, and celebrate with you in fanfare when spring buds reappear. So I wish you much birdsong in your lives.
Thank you very much, Annalisa. I will never look at robins or wrens in the same way now. Annalisa's work can be found on page 18 and 19 with some lovely photographs as well. So really worth looking at. So we've now got to share our screen, which could be interesting. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this there. Do we have technology? Right.
Can everyone see the PowerPoint?
I had to move that down there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Right. So producing a book is not as easy as you might think. Well, that's what we found out anyway. It's all very well coming up with the idea, but there's a lot involved, particularly if you're having to work out a format, who might contribute, what the theme will be like, who will design it. We'll now tell you the Listen story.
So the seeds for Listen were planted in April 2020 when we realised that our 60th anniversary was fast approaching and we wanted to find ways to celebrate, fundraise and highlight the work of Hull Samaritans and Samaritans in general. The story unfolded over an extraordinary 15 months of lockdowns and tears, sun, snow, ice and back to sunshine again, babies born, the loss of people close to us, and where the importance of listening to those who are lonely, isolated and frightened became clearer than ever. The idea took root when we decided to invite people to respond to the word listen through writing, artwork or design, and in whatever media or way they wanted. We would collect these together and make a book.
Just commenting here, there's a couple of pieces here, a small part of design from Jan Stead, and also a part of a design from Tamsin Titcombe as well.
We contacted Smith and Nephew in Hull, who have supported Hull Sams in different ways over the years. Their sponsorship more or less covered our printing costs, and we are very grateful for this, plus Katie, all Katie's advice and support. And I think Katie might be here this evening. So.
Yes, I think so. Hello, Katie, although you can't answer. Sorry.
But thank you for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
We approached writers and artists, many from the local creative community in Hull and the region, but also children, a professor, a prison learner, a florist, a Buddhist nun, Samaritan listeners, as well as those who use our service. As Samaritans, we find ourselves talking to callers from any background, so it was important to us to have contributors from all ages and walks of life. On this slide, we have an image by Miles, who was 6 at the time, one from artist Jessie Davis, photographer and school student Evan Chapman, who might be with us this evening, and a prison learner, and then also artist Lisa Smith. There are 51 contributors altogether. Everything that was submitted was included, so we didn't select, we included everything. Every voice is valid, everyone has something important to say. This fits with the Samaritans' value of being non-judgmental. So the work that was to fill our empty pages started to arrive via email and WeTransfer. Together, they form a kind of conversation about listening, creativity, and mental health. At Samaritans, some callers tell us about their gardens, their poetry, the poetry they write, the paintings they make, or the music they enjoy. And we know the link between creativity and well-being can be powerful. The contributions that most affected me were the images and writing about nighttime or the very early hours of the morning, which conjure up for me the particular quality of our nighttime calls. The team then worked on layout, sequence and editing as Listen went back and forward between East Yorkshire and Tim Ball, our fab designer in London, with the help of Zoom, email and WhatsApp. Actually, in these images, we are sat around the table together, but they're very recent. Mostly we had to do the work from a distance on a screen, on our phones, and we would have much preferred to have been together to make our decisions, but that was the way the world was. Finally, the last word was italicised, the last comma inserted, and Listen crossed the border into Scotland to be printed at Trade Print, and many thanks to Ant Rowell for his help and his patience with that. Not long after, on the 28th of June, 46 boxes of Listen arrived on our doorstep on Springbank. And there followed an emergency phone call to one of our contributors, Barney, who cycled across from Brook Street to help us deposit the books in our second floor office.
He was very welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Barney.
They're heavy.
Barney can't be here today, but we're very grateful for all he's done. Then the fun began as we packed, delivered and posted copies near and far. And we really did genuinely enjoy turning up in places and posting the copies, particularly a day that we spent kind of east of Hull, Preston and Heddon and Easington. And
that's a view from the pub we stopped at.
Yeah, lunchtime break, and the fantastic view from Poole onto the River Humber, across to the Humber Bridge. You can't quite see that, but that's one of my favourite places, so nice place to deliver. Next one. We were excited as various galleries and bookshops agreed to stock Listen, and a big thank you to Chris at Waterstones, Rayanne at Wrecking Ball, Adele at Studio 11 on Humber Street, all of those in Hull, Lucy at Beverley Bookshop, Bridget at Salt Gallery, and Devon at the Rote Walk in Barton. And we're hoping to reach out to more stockists as time goes on. And then just last week, we were really happy to be part of Creative Hull, where we got to promote Listen and visit many exciting events and exhibitions in the city and talk about our work and the work of the book and talk about other artists and writers and their work. And then the next slide is just a little pile of Listens that was in the Burton shop window and part of Lockdown Still Lives exhibition for Creative Hull.
Excellent. So what now for Listen? Well, in many ways, we're just at the beginning. We sold around 250 copies to date. but we've a long way to go to sell the 1,500 books we ordered. So we would really welcome your help, please. If you know any retailers that might be prepared to sell a book, please tell us, or any groups that might be interested in buying copies. We can offer a group deal. I know there are a number of Samaritan branches here tonight, so please feel free to offer a book to your volunteers, or if you have a shop, we can make sure you make some money selling a book too. Christmas is also going to be a good opportunity to listen, and in November, as Rob said, with our actual 60th birthday, we'll see the Hull Minster lit up in Samaritans green, not purple as it's shown here, but to celebrate our actual 60th birthday. So any ideas to spread the word would be much appreciated. You can contact us through Workplace, our Listen social media, or our email address, which is listenhull60@gmail.com. Right, now I'm going to stop sharing. So no evening would be complete without some music. You can actually find the next performer's work in the book on page 5, where you can read his lyrics. But for tonight, we've got a treat. So Ned Roberts is going to give us a live performance of his song, Days into Days. Ned is an acoustic songwriter based in London. He first started performing when living in York and has gone on to release 4 albums of original songs. So over to you, Ned.
Thank you. Just a quick note on the song is that it was inspired by a very short Philip Larkin poem called Days. That was the spark for the opening verse. It goes like this. Days into days, a uniform parade. Run across the fields of salvation on the way to ease the sense of time. Go steady on the wine. I am young and I am old. I'm living and I'm dying. Sadness comes like floodwaters in the spring. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe it's the whip of the wind against my back, against the purple yellow sky. It's harder and harder now to take the black from the night. We all need illusion to hold on, a sense of serenity from the breaking dawn. I find myself in a white-walled room. The air is collapsing now, but there you, soft words upon your tongue and your hand upon my head. A calm evocation now, what lies ahead. We all need illusion to hold on, a sense of serenity from the breaking dawn. So take my records from the shelf, though the needles turn to rust. Spin them round and round crackles and dust. I'll take the white from the wind, take the red from the sky, blues from the rain, paint the wildest colors cross my mind. We all need illusion to hold on, a sense of serenity from the breaking dawn. Days into days, a uniform parade, run across the fields of salvation on the way to ease the sense of time. I'm heady on the one. I am young and I am old. I'm living and I'm dying. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Ned. Marvelous. What a lovely song. Terrific. So time for some questions and answers, because I know some questions have been coming in and I know we've had some previous questions as well. So I'm going to pass you over to Grace and Connie this part.
Yes, thank you. It feels like I want to sing this next bit now, following on from such a gorgeous musical section. So we have kind of had some common or frequently asked questions about the kind of look of the book. So what I thought that we'd do is we'll put them first to Connie and then pass them on to Tim as well, since they worked really closely together throughout the kind of editorial and design stage. So question number one is, Connie and Tim, tell us about the decision to make the headings vertical in the book, please.
Okay, well, hi everybody. I'm so delighted to be here tonight, and I was immensely moved by Ned's song. And I'd also, just before I answer Grace's challenging question, or rather just before I hand it over to Tim, our designer, to answer Grace's question, I just want to mention that Terry Locke has been making a few comments through the chat as we've gone along, and I just want to tell everybody that he's in New Zealand. He had to get up very, very early to join us here this evening. I think he's the farthest away person that we have tonight. Terry's own poem is on page 62 of our book. So Terry, it's terrific that you're here with us tonight.
That's amazing. Hi, Terry.
Terry's a great friend of our families, and also knows Annalisa very well, which is a complete coincidence. So the vertical headings, well, we have Tim Ball with us, who is the designer of Listen. We are very, very lucky that Tim was able to come on side towards the end of the summer last year, because he's an extremely busy person with a very full-time job. But we asked him if he'd be interested in working on this anthology, because we knew we needed a designer who had flair, I guess. Any anthology needs to be knitted together through the design, because you've got such a wide range of illustrations of all different kinds, from photographs right through to black and white drawings. And then we've also got short stories and poems and a bit of this and a bit of that, a bit of everything. So it's the design that links it all together. So we talked a lot about that at first, but we also wanted the design to almost be like an artwork in itself. So that's as far as I'm going to go with this, because I want to hear Tim's explanation of why he decided to land on these vertical headings, which we all loved instantly. Tim.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I'm kind of being put on the spot here because I don't know what these questions are going to be. So really, I think the idea of the vertical headings came about primarily from the cover, we explored a few options on what should go on the cover. Should it be a piece of artwork? But I think ultimately there wasn't really any one piece of artwork that described what would be inside it. So we wanted to be a little playful with the typography on the cover to kind of entice people to open the book and find out what was inside. And I think that from that kind of vertical type running down the spine, which sort of, as you'd seen in a lot of the pictures, looks quite arresting when you have it in a shop window and what have you. I wanted to kind of follow that through in terms of that sort of playfulness of typography, and therefore then a lot of the typography was playful. Some of it was vertical, some of it was horizontal, but most importantly, it kind of tried to echo a lot of what was in each piece of in each article or in each piece of artwork. So that's really where I think the idea came from.
Well, thank you. You did kind of semi-start to answer the next question, Tim, but I'm going to ask it anyway because Connie can elaborate and then you can elaborate. So we've had a few comments about the design, saying the design's brilliant, and someone loves the cover, the way the word as verb insinuates itself into the blank space, which is really nice because our next question actually is, why is the cover white? Which you kind of briefly touched on, but can you go into that a little bit more for both of you?
Connie, do you want to go first?
Okay. Well, the cover of, in general, book covers are mysterious puzzles that sometimes take a very long time to solve. And ours was no different. We set off in about early November with a few designs from Tim, and we sort of didn't get around to talking about them for quite a long time because we were so busy with everything else. And so somehow those two designs, which had two illustrations, both from the inside of the book that Tim had just used as a sort of to show us what it could be like, they sort of hung around for such a long time that I think we all began to believe that they were the covers, but actually we hadn't discussed them. And when we discussed them, the very first thing we said was that we all had to be content with the cover in the end result. We all we maybe wouldn't all like it 100%, but we would really feel that we'd succeeded if everybody liked it about 80%. And it turned out that those two examples didn't work for some of us. So they were out the window. And where were we then? I guess, Tim, you can't really come in here because this was sort of more of an editorial sort of thing. In the end, after trying lots and lots of different ideas, that is totally different illustrations, photographs that we'd taken ourselves in different situations, pictures of inner city Hull, Yorkshire in general, all kinds of different things. We tried a graphic idea. Weeks and weeks were going by and we weren't sure. And then all of a sudden one day we thought, actually, what about the pure white? It allows the reader to think for themselves. It brings people can bring their own thoughts to the book without having any prejudgment about what's inside. And it looks very pure. There's nothing that is telling us anything. In fact, we began to realize that that's actually very similar to the phone calls that we take as Samaritans. You don't know who it is. You've got no preconception of the person's reason for phoning up. And little by little, you get into the phone call, just in the same way that little by little, you turn the pages of our book and it becomes a whole. So in the end, that's what we went with. And you were happy about that, weren't you, Tim?
Yeah, I was. I was very happy about it. And I think the Beatles had a similar dilemma. And if it's good enough for them, then it's good enough for Samaritans. So I suppose another point really about the cover and the fact that it's white is that the contents and the contributions were both poetry and imagery, and it's kind of difficult to put poetry on the front on a front cover, and to put an image on would kind of push poetry as a second best type of thing. And I don't think that was really the case. Obviously, the poetry is equally as good as the artwork. So I think an absence was probably the right solution. And also, just by having the word "listen" on the cover, it really hammers home the point of what Samaritans do. So it seemed to summarize really in as best a way that we felt it could.
Well, yeah, thank you. And so the kind of natural next question and last question that is most frequently asked is, for anyone that's seen the book, one thing that people will comment on is that there is a huge range of contributions, both from a huge diverse range of people and just the mediums that people have submitted in is just amazing. So the question is, how did you go about designing something with such a wide range of contributions, like different mediums and forms and sizes and colours and shapes, and how did you create coherency through that?
Shall I answer that, Connie?
I'm just going to say one thing very quickly before Tim answers. Sorry. Yeah, you go ahead. You're best placed for that.
Okay. So I think, as you highlighted, there was a lot of differences in size and format and of the contributions, and equally, as I mentioned, there's imagery, there's the written word, and everything in between, and we explored a few formats. We looked at a portrait type of book, landscape, and so on. And it sort of felt really that the square format then became the obvious one, because it didn't kind of emphasize anything to be, one shape or another. So the way that we designed it to sort of bring it all together was to be quite tight on the typography. So we kind of tried to restrict the number of styles that we had in the type, so that played a consistent theme through the whole book, and then it let the difference in the artwork and in the poetry kind of come through. So we weren't trying to disguise anything, as it were, by it was trying to be reductive, as it were, if that makes sense. And then, as well as that, we kind of kept the colors that we used inside the book to a fairly limited palette, because there was a lot of color in the contributions, and that way then it again meant that we didn't really want to sort of distract from the contributors. If anything, we just wanted to augment the pieces where we could, and that came through in the sort of the playfulness of typography, maybe in the poetry, but then we also had a quite a restrained design sensibility based on a grid.
Can I just add one thing, Grace?
Yeah, please do.
Just to say that at the beginning, we sort of ummed and ahed about how much the book should reflect the Samaritan design, which is a very, it's a very well-known design. It's a very distinctive design. And we wanted our book to stand on its own 2 feet, but there was no getting away from the fact that we also really wanted it to be a Samaritan book. And I think Tim's solution to linking it to the Samaritans, obviously they're the logos, but the main thing is the Samaritan green, which is such a brilliant color and so instantly recognizable as Samaritans. And it was only just when the book was delivered that we realized the sort of strong effect of the inside front cover and the inside back cover being green. But Tim has taken the green right the way through in tiny little ways, like putting the arrows from the captions to the photos in green. Author names are often in green. In the introduction, every name of every contributor is in green. And it's sort of clearly the Samaritan look, but it's much more subtle as well. So it doesn't sort of hit you in the face. And for me, that's been a very lovely side of the design.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think like anyone that's seen the book can agree that for me it kind of like pops out. It really stands out everywhere I see it, and for me that really draws myself to it. So yeah, I think thanks again, Tim, for magic. And then I think that the choices were all good, like on the back. So I've kind of been monitoring the chat a little bit as we've been going through these questions. There hasn't really been anything posted, which is absolutely okay. But if anyone has any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. No, the chat's open, so we can kind of move on a little bit. But if anyone has any other questions, just pop them in and we can come back to them. Glynis has suggested maybe. Oh, we've got a question. Harley, you are my new favourite person. Thank you, Harley. But I'm just going to go back to Glynis. Glynis has suggested to possibly have an exhibition of the full colour contributions designed by the contributors and the participants. And I know that we did consider an exhibition about how we want to launch the project. So I think possibly moving forward, it's definitely not something that's been written off, is it? Because an exhibition would be a really amazing way to showcase all of the beautiful work in a much larger scale than in the book. And she's also said that green is such a relaxing colour, which I agree with. It's actually my favourite colour, so slightly biased. But okay, Harley, are the Listen t-shirts for sale? I don't know the answer to this. Please, someone help.
Well, they're not at the moment, but they could be.
Especially the second-hand ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we did think about it as a possibility, because I think it is so strong, that design. It would also go rather well on mugs. So we'll perhaps have to think about that.
Maybe if people are interested in getting a t-shirt, if you email us and then if there's enough, we would send off for another batch to be printed, I guess.
Absolutely.
Well, Isabella's asked, controversially, why hasn't Tim got a Listen sweatshirt? Well, we didn't really want him to be wearing it. Actually, we didn't want him to be part of the crew. No, Tim, where do you live? You live far away, don't you? So to get you a t-shirt would have been a logistical prep that we just weren't enough kind of keyed up on.
I'm in southwest London, so yeah, it would have taken a while to get here.
Can I just say that I've seen Terry's comment that Hull has become the new cultural capital of England. I think it always has been, Terry. So for a long time.
We've got some people saying that they'd like a t-shirt, so that's really amazing. So yeah, feel free to email us or direct messages on the Facebook page. Just click like the little message icon. However you prefer to get in touch, we have a platform for you. So yeah, email away. That'd be cool to see more people in the t-shirts.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, look, thank you very much, Connie, Grace, and Tim, for that great insight into the design and the logo and everything. So I'm going to move on now. So any anthology needs a good story. So our next performer is going to give us just that. Nick Lum is a writer and musician who loves storytelling and fairy stories. So here's Nick reading Listen from a book.
Is he muted?
I'm not.
Hang on.
Nick, I think you might be muted. Yes, you are muted.
Unmute yourself.
You need to unmute yourself. That's better. You should be all right now.
Oh,
No?
hi, Jan. This is normally us, isn't it?
It is.
Or Rob. Rob's a good technical expert.
Yes, over to Rob.
Sound was working earlier. No, we
It
still
was
can't
working,
hear
isn't
you.
it?
Yeah.
What we could do is swap you over, and then while you're trying to work that out, and then come back to you. But it's a shame, isn't it?
Joey, have you got any
tips?
suggestions?
Is your volume turned up, Nick? Within your Zoom audio settings, can you see speaker settings or something? You can.
Working earlier.
Now you've got to
Yeah.
unmute yourself again.
Yeah.
Yes, you have mute. You need to unmute yourself. That's better.
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
Might be worth dropping out and dropping back in. The good old turn it on and off is always.
So why don't we, Nick? Do you want to do that? Do you want to drop out and then come back in?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if Nick will get back in if he comes
right.
if he comes
Stay
out.
where you are, Nick. Stay where you are.
Yeah, stay where you are, Nick.
Such a lovely story.
I know it is.
Yeah, if you check your audio settings, Nick, for your speakers, and normally just a setting in there where you can tell Zoom which speakers to use and which microphone.
I'm just wondering whether we should
do Michelle's film.
Any luck, Nick? While you're still trying, I think what we'll do is we'll play. We'll swap round, play another one, and see if then come back to you and see if we can, see if we've had a little bit more success.
Is that okay, Nick?
Okay, jolly good. Yeah, exactly. So what would have been our final performance tonight is from Michelle D. Now, Michelle has been a tireless supporter of Listen, but unfortunately she can't be here tonight as she's dancing at Humber Street. So she sent us a film of herself, which is rather fun actually, because it's reading her Listen poem at the Chadvara Memorial Garden at Barton upon Humber. So now you have to bear with us while we try to share a screen again, and hopefully we will give you we just need to work out how to play it.
If you move it up a bit, maybe.
I think whoops, we've got something in the way. Here we go, that's better. Right, okay, so over.
Listen. Listen to the stillness as a million people pause for breath. Listen to the voice of family. Make believe you are home again. Listen to the applause from doorsteps, masking the calls for fair pay. Listen as the million are reawakened by the trilling of the dawn chorus. Listen to a fruitcake telling you it is baked to perfection. Listen to the empty streets, a hive of activity once more. Listen as the dormouse raises cups of cocoa to a field of ripe barley. Listen to the scree of swifts weave an arc across an autumn sky. Listen to the church bells chime, marking the hour and the quarter. Listen to the builder's radio as experts do over the mishaps born of lockdown zeal. Listen out for your beloved and the stranger in the street. Listen to your inner child cry out for a treat. Listen to the footpath, auguring the coming storm. Heed the wind and rain. Shore up your defences again. Listen to the voice in your head.
It was working perfectly, didn't it?
Listen. That's all it is. Just listening.
So that was lovely. Well done, Michelle. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that Nick might
Hello?
have audio.
Yes.
Excellent,
Can
excellent.
you hear me?
Yeah, we
Can you hear me,
do.
Mother?
Absolutely. So as we were in reverse order now, so Nick's going to read from Listen.
Thank you. The traveller emerged from the forest and saw that the path ahead forked near a log cabin. With the mountains as a backdrop, this place was idyllic. The air was fresh, the sun was warm, and the snows were long forgotten. Without doubt, this was the place he sought. As he drew closer, the two dogs quietly detached themselves from the front porch and moved towards the gate. Alerted by this movement, a woman stepped over and looked back over her shoulder at a man chopping wood. "Another one," she called out, and then waited for the traveller to approach. "Let me guess," she said. "You're a young man troubled by doubt, or you bear a great burden and you're in need of guidance." The traveller politely moved his hat. "I am told that a wise woman lives on this mountain. Would that be yourself?" The woman's laughter startled the dogs. "Wrong on both counts," she said. "There's two of them, and I'm neither." The traveller blinked. This was clearly not what he expected. "Two?" "Yes," the woman nodded to the left-hand fork. "This Goodwife Miller lives that way, and old Ma Cooper lives up the path here." The traveller looked very unhappy. "But which should I choose?" "Not for me to say," the woman shook her head. "Depends on what you've come for." It was then that he noticed a group of people on the left-hand path. "This Goodwife Miller seems very popular." "Oh, she is indeed." "Her advice is good then?" "The best," came the reply. "Tell the good wife your problem and she solves it for you straight away. Gets a lot of repeat business as well." "Oh, really?" "Oh, aye. See that bloke over there with the gold chain? He's the mayor. Comes round here every couple of days. Goodwife Miller tells him what to do, and off he goes, happy as a dog with a pork pie." The group shuffled forward. "The man behind him is the local blacksmith. He's a regular as well. And so is the woman with the straw hat. She's big in cheese, I understand. Soon as any of them have a problem, they're back up here before you know it." The traveller turned his attention to another path. "And Ma Cooper?" There was a definite pause. "Well, her approach is different, I'd have to say." "How is it different? Is it not as good?" There was another pause. "Ma Cooper doesn't give advice." The traveller turned round so quickly the dog sat bolt upright. "So what does she do then?" "She listens." "Listens?" "Listens. Is that all?" "She listens." "And what good is that?" And the woman shook her head. "A good listener is worth their weight in gold. What most folk do, if they're really honest, is try not to look too bored while they wait for the other person to finish talking. Then they can wade in with their threepenny and everybody's happy." The traveller did not appear convinced. "People can say a great deal, but a good listener can pick out the key messages. They don't listen to just what you're saying, but also how you're saying it. Sifting the wheat from the chaff, as it were, helping you come to a decision." Still didn't appear convinced. "Well, have it your own way," she said, "and tell us your story." The traveller took his time to answer. "My elder brother will inherit the family farm. Everyone knows he's lazy and hopeless, so my father has decided that I'll manage the place to prevent him from running it into the ground. It solves the problem. My brother gets the farm and I get an income. Well, how do you feel about that?" The traveller gazed at the lowlands far away. "It solves the problem, but since you ask, I've no desire to work on my brother's farm." Keeping his head above water, taking orders from him. "Nobody's asked me what I want." Nobody's asked me what I think. I could be anything. Maybe a carpenter, a fisherman, a cobbler, a prospector. I've got lots of skills and I could turn them to hand, but that's why I want to see the wise woman. I want to be master of my own destiny. I want to make my own decisions. I want to be my own man. The woman thought about this for a moment. So let's see if I've got this right, she began. You're at a crossroads in life and you feel that there are a number of opportunities available to you. Yes, came the reply in a nutshell. The only thing you are sure of is that you don't want to work for your brother. Yes. You want to be independent, you want to choose your own path, and you want to rely on your own resources. Yes. And you've come halfway up a mountain so you can ask a complete stranger to tell you how to do it. And then the traveller went quiet. The woman folded her arms. More logs were chopped. A bee buzzed over to a sunflower and the chickens clucked. After some time, the young man spoke. Ma Cooper's up the right-hand path, you say? The woman nodded. Yes, she is. Well, I'd best be off then, he announced, rising to his feet. Thanks for listening. And with that, the young man was on his way. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very, very much, Nick. Excellent, excellent rendition. I'm glad we could hear you anyway this time. Now, I want to mention just a little bit about some of our stockists and where you can buy and listen from. We're really grateful for each and every one of them as they allow us to broaden the reach of a book. So we've got stockists in Hull, we have Waterstones, the Wrecking Ball Music and Bookshop, and Studio 11 on Humber Street. And in Beverley, we've got the Beverley Bookshop, Salt Gallery and the Minster Shop. And just over the water, we've got the Rope Walk in Barton upon Humber. Lovely to have a book in our founder, Chad Vara's hometown. And this is where I get confused because we've changed the order of things. So now we come to a moment we've all been waiting for, the launch of Listen. First of all, you may have noticed that we've been joined by a number of new faces, I hope. Joey, don't know how that is going.
Just having those guys in now.
Jolly good, we can't see that. That's good. So these are some of our wonderful contributors who have helped make the book what it is. How nice it would have been to be seeing you all in person, but for that we'll just have to wait for another day, maybe November, who knows. So thank you all very much for your contributions, and thank you from all the team for joining us tonight. So we thought long and hard about what we might do. Should we have a firework display? Should we have a book tower? Should we cut ribbon? Should we unwrap a book? But after much discussion, we decided to combine the book launch with our 60th birthday. And so we have a cake beautifully made by Connie, which is going to bring over now. Ooh. Can we see before?
Move that, Anthony.
Sorry.
Move that. Move it.
Remove it. Okay. Very good. Very
Tilt
difficult
it
to see
so we
around.
can, that's it. Yes, now we can see the cover. Yeah.
Ah, that's perfect. Excellent. Very good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good.
Excellent. Excellent. So I now need everybody's help, please. So to blow out the cake.
Candles,
So
candles.
a big, yeah, blow out the candles, exactly. So a big deep breath, please. And on a count of 3, blow the candles out. So 1, 2, 3. Finally, if you just happen to have a glass of bubbly to hand or anything else, or a cup of coffee or whatever, please charge your cups. And let us raise our glasses, everybody, our cups to do a toast to listen. Listening, our wonderful contributors, everyone who has helped us along the way, and to everyone who has or will be purchasing our book. So I give you listen. Cheers.
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 Cheers. Right, we might need to just quickly move the cake, and we're quickly going to, oops, I didn't move that very quickly. So we're just going to share you one more screen, actually, which, right, that one here. Okay, so I hope you can actually see all this. Right, so we really just wanted to thank as many people as we possibly could do. So thank you so much to all our contributors, and they're all listed here, all 51 of them. Lots of people, hopefully you can see already, and who've actually come on, who have been contributing. And we've got everybody right way through to children one child at Tickton Primary School, and a load of children who've done the contributions through the books from All Saints Federation, Hessel, Hull. So look, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't all be here tonight. So absolutely brilliant. That's a lot more clapping, because it would be, we could all hear everybody. And then, except I can't move on. Why can't we move on? We're going to be, any evening would not be complete without a few hitches.
Come out a bit.
Yes, I think we might have to. 2 seconds. And it looks like we might be frozen. No, hold on. I'm going to stop sharing a second. Right.
Do you want to share mine, Duncan? Do you want to share mine, Duncan?
Yes, go on then. Go on then. Thank you very much. You have the same slides. Thank you. Get us out of the sticky moments.
No pressure then.
No pressure whatsoever.
Give me a second.
And we were going to just say, after we've done our thank yous, if people want to stay around and for a bit more of an informal chat or any more questions and answers. So this isn't the end. The thank yous.
Everyone see that?
Yes, absolutely. So we've got loads of people here. We wanted, so many people have been absolutely fantastic in helping us. Incredibly, whenever we've needed somebody, we've been able to call on them and they've been able to help us, whether it's putting a website together, whether it's getting another pair of eyes to read the book, to edit it. All the stock history mentioned. Lots of people would like to mention in terms of Samaritans. Obviously, we talked to Rob, but Graham, who I know will be hiding there as well, and I can't see because I'm going to have to move this again.
And a big thank you to Joey for all the amazing IT support.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, absolutely. But also some people from head office, such as Isha Flannery, who's really, really helpful, and Rachel Ellis particularly, all very, very helpful. Thank you very much also, of course, to all our contributors tonight, to Grace, Annalisa, Ned, Michelle, and Nick. So,
and for everyone coming.
For everybody coming, yeah, absolutely, on this lovely evening. Goodness me, I could imagine you preferring to be outside rather than to listen to us. So I'm going to stop sharing this. How do we do that?
Yeah.
We'll stop sharing. Oh, you're sharing, aren't you?
Yeah,
so
yours.
That's sort of bringing us to the end of the evening. So yes, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and say hello. Can't see everybody on the screen. That's the only thing, can we? Let's see, have we? Can't put anybody on the spot.
No.
We hear from Terry in New Zealand. It would be fantastic.
Oh, that would be good.
All the way down to New Zealand.
Is Terry still there?
I can see him down here.
Ah, right. Okay. Excellent. Oh, yes, of course. Hi, Terry.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Lovely to see you.
It's just getting light.
You haven't got your champagne out.
Never
too early, Terry.
Yeah. And greetings, Annalise, and greetings to the Andrews family. It's lovely to see you. Lovely to see you performing, Grace, and lovely to meet Ned. It was a very special moment for me, and I loved the song. Really enjoyed it hugely.
It's so nice to see you, Terry. Yeah, hi. It's been so long.
It's been a long time. Yeah. We're kind of we're kind of an island these days, and you know, even the Australians can't come now. It's sad. So we cut off from 3 of our offspring. So it's we're a bit jealous. you're all in the same island. You're very lucky. Yeah.
Hello there, Isabel Lasada. Never actually met, but we're obviously very familiar with your work now. Who else?
Oh, I've just successfully unmuted myself. So I just wanted to say thank you very much to everyone. It was a complete delight to contribute. I really so much enjoyed, and the subject of listening obviously is so important. And as a terrible interrupter myself, I'm really looking forward to reading the book, and I only ordered it today. So I'm so looking forward to it arriving. And
well, you'll just have to remember to hold your stick. I seem to remember.
Yes, that's right. Well, of course, I didn't invent the listening game. I just retold it, but it's been a real pleasure. And thank you so much for raising this such an important subject. And I hope the book just spreads like crazy, because as you say, in this epidemic of loneliness, everyone needs to be listened to. So I think I hope it will do really, really well for you all. And thank you so much for inviting me. And that's all. Thank you.
You're very welcome indeed.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I suppose we might say something about this. It's quite a number of young and emerging writers and artists featured in the book, or who've helped out with design and different things like that. So I'm not going to put anyone on the spot, but we wish them all good, best wishes as they leave school, or they go into their final years of uni, or people at different stages. But for all our emerging artists and writers, good luck, best luck with your futures.
And also all our Samaritan contributors as well. I can see, here we go. He does, yeah, it looks like, yeah, there's Graham. We mentioned Graham earlier. Hello, Graham. He's hidden himself now.
Yeah, hang on. Hi.
Hello there. Hi there, Graham. Is Rachel with you?
Yeah, she's somewhere. We've got technical problems.
Oh, that's okay. Hello, Rachel.
But I wasn't prepared to be seen, really.
That's quite all right. You haven't brought a listener. We haven't even offered you a listen t-shirt yet.
I'm going to have to shoot off now, but
that's okay, Tim.
It's been a great evening, and I hope the book goes well in terms of sales and everything. And I've got my copy in pride place on my shelf downstairs, and I'm going to take an Instagram when I go down.
Oh, brilliant! That's fantastic. No, we can't thank you enough, Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
Really,
amazing.
And thank you for managing to get here this evening, Tim.
Onto that.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Tim.
Thank you. We're gonna head off too, but what an amazing evening, and it's such a brilliant book. So thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Well worth.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay, thank you indeed. So maybe that does bring us to the end of tonight's proceedings, so we can sort of wrap it up. So don't forget, you can purchase a copy at any of the retailers we mentioned tonight, or online at www.listenhull.co.uk. If you put a little magical thing, if you put pre-order in the discount box, you can buy it for $7.99. So you'll be saved post and packing. We'll have to remember that. It's probably too late for you, Isabel. It's already placed your order. So look, thanks again for coming, giving us your time. So it's goodbye from the Listen team. That's me, Duncan, Isabel, Connie and Ellie. Goodbye to all those performers who gave us such wonderful rendered performances tonight. Thank you to our director, Rob, to all our contributors, Tim Ball, our designer, which we've already said. As I said before, all those behind the scenes who are making Listen possible. And a big thank you to all our performers tonight. So feel free to stick around if you want to, but failing that, we'll close the session.
Yeah.
Rob's going to say something. Go on, Rob. I see you.
Yeah, come on, Rob.
I just feel somebody needs to say something for such an amazing. I had no idea what a book launch was. I still don't actually.
Neither do we.
But this has been a special evening. There's some fabulous people involved in every aspect of this book, and tonight the performances have been amazing. So it's just been, I don't know, I'm just blown away by the whole thing. It's way beyond my expectation. And just thank you guys so much for what you've done. Whether we make any money or not, I don't care. Well, we probably won't, but I'll be there at the book pulping probably. So, but this is amazing. So thank you. I'm going to go now, so I'll leave you to it. Thanks again.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye bye.
Okay, Rob. Right, I'll just stop the recording now if that's okay with
Yeah, that's fine.